at Bennett on EVs. And there's available 1.9% on other models. Looking for used? Trade any old clunker for a minimum $10,000. We don't care how old or how many miles. Heck, we don't even care if it runs. Just get it here, and you'll get a minimum $10,000 towards any pre-owned in stock. And Bennett's exclusive non-commissioned sales team is paid on your satisfaction, not how much you spend, so you're never hassled to pay more. You're gonna love it here. Together, let's drive. Bennett Chevy, Egg Harbor Township, and BennettChevy.com.
South Jersey's official play-by-play home of the Eagles, Sixers, and Flyers.
At 0 point would I ever consider not being a fan of the team.
97.3 ESPN, WENJ, WENJ HD, Millville, Atlantic City. A Town Square media station serving all of South Jersey. This is Game Night with Josh Hinnick.
Let's go!
On 97.3 ESPN and the 97.3 ESPN free mobile app.
And he scored!
Now live from inside the Ocean Casino Resort Studio, here's Josh Hinnick.
Football Friday edition of Game Night. Eagles and NFL news to get to this hour. Plus, we will talk about the Phillies back in action versus the Mets this weekend. My college football picks for the weekend. All that and more to come here on 97.3 ESPN. Josh Hinnick hanging out with you on a Football Friday. As always, you guys can join the conversation at 609-403-0973. Also, your DMs into the 97.3 ESPN mobile app powered by First Bank of Seattle. A lot to get to here on the hour, so let's dive right into it. First of all, I did want to get to the Eagles and NFL news of the day. That news being the Eagles injury report. And there is a surprising name on this report. I think that's where we have to start the conversation, because now I know the Eagles play on Monday. So technically, on a normal NFL week, today's injury report would be the injury report that would come out on Thursday. So we are a day off on the logistics here. A.J. Brown is on the Eagles injury report. Now, I'm not going to be an alarmist. I'm not going to be the guy who says, oh no, what's going on with A.J. Brown? Because according to the report, he was limited at practice with a hamstring issue. So just based on that, I tend to believe that this is something I'm going to get like too up in arms about unless he's on the list again tomorrow. Then I'll get a little more angsty about it. But it is something to keep an eye on because he was not on the injury report yesterday. They do play Monday, so there's an extra day for him to get himself situated. So I'm not raising any red flags yet, but I do have to put it out there. Milton Williams, second straight day, he is on the list as a limited participant. Isaiah Rodgers, Devin White, both listed as full participants at practice despite their injuries that kept him out of NFL Week 1. So, a couple of things here. Number one, as I said, I'm not going to raise any red flags about the A.J. Brown because, one, I think A.J. Brown's the kind of guy who will play through an injury if the team will let him, right? You know, it's not a concussion like we saw with Tua last night. It's a hamstring. Soft tissue is always a tricky injury. So I'm not going to sit here and act like I know exactly what's going to happen, but I think for right now, I'm going to assume A.J. Brown can play on Monday night. The other interesting one is Milton Williams because he has now been on the injury report for 2 straight days with a foot issue, limited participant at practice. I find Milton Williams' situation interesting because this is an Eagles defense that they are an organization that brought Vic Fangio in here to fix the problems of last season. Well, what was one of the problems last season? Lack of production consistently from the offensive line, right? All right. Well, if we have problems with the defensive line, probably a problem in the trenches. Vic Fangio is supposed to come in here and help fix some of these problems. That's the theory. Vic Fangio spoke very highly of Milton Williams in the training camp and during the offseason. Milton Williams played almost 42% of the team's snaps in week 1. He directly cut into Jordan Davis's playing time. Jalen Carter himself played only 76%, but it's still the majority of the snaps of any interior defensive lineman. If you have to go into this game against the Falcons on Monday Night Football with a Milton Williams that is not 100%, how does that impact the defensive line rotations? How does it impact how the defense is called? A lot of questions about this when it comes to what they would do about a limited or a lacking Milton Williams. You give Jordan Davis more than 52% of the snaps. Are you going to give Thomas Booker or Moro Ojomo more snaps in place of Milton Williams? Because you didn't draft Jordan Davis and Jalen Carter to be just rotational players. You drafted these guys with the idea that this tandem of Georgia Bulldogs are going to go out there and exert the type of physicality that they did in college. These are freakish human beings. These are monster men, right? So, when you think about it, I think, at least how I look at it, I think that I'm a little more concerned with the Milton Williams situation than A.J. Brown, because I know if A.J. Brown doesn't play, it's Jahan Dotson. It's still Saquon and Devonta out there. But I think as of right now, I'm going to assume that A.J. Brown's going to play. But man, let me tell you guys, if there is a situation going on with the Eagles defensive line, you're going against the Falcons team that was very underwhelming last week. Do we really believe that the Eagles are going to be able to defensively attack the Falcons the same way they did the week before? Remember, the Falcons' offense was shut down by the Steelers. Can the Eagles execute that on a better field at Lincoln Financial Field in front of the home crowd? Can they do the Falcons what they did previously? Remember, the last time you saw Kirk Cousins, he scored 14 points on you in the fourth quarter and made a game the Eagles were dominating for the first 3 quarters a much closer game with a backdoor cover. So, are we concerned at all about the Eagles going against this team? You guys let me know. 609-403-0973. Your DMs into the 973 ESPN mobile app powered by First Bank of Seattle. So that's the one bit of NFL news I wanted to hit on. I'll get you some further thoughts on this game coming up. I got some audio from former NFL front office executive, former NFL player Mike Mayock coming up in about 20 minutes from now. The other NFL news is Christian McCaffrey has been ruled out for week 2. So he will not be available for the first 2 weeks of the NFL season. And it's getting to the point where Adam Schefter has reported that they are considering putting Christian McCaffrey on the injured reserve list because he has both a calf injury and Achilles tendonitis. Now, as we know, anytime you're dealing with a calf or an Achilles, you have to be careful for 2 reasons. One, soft tissue injury, calf, hamstring. These are injuries that linger. These are injuries that if you do not let recover completely, they will continue to be a problem. You throw groin in that conversation as well. These are all parts of the body that if you do not strengthen them, if you do not maintain them, if you do not properly recover from them, they can continue to be problems. And number 2, Achilles tendonitis. All right. Now, I am not a doctor, nor did I stay at a Holiday Inn Express last night. But I do know what doctors say, right? Tendonitis is always it's always a concern, because what you're saying is something is going to be lingering. Something is going to be continue to be a problem if there's a tendonitis issue. And I have seen multiple people online already say that Achilles tendonitis is something that lingers. It is something that you have to be careful about, because if you don't handle it carefully, it can lead to an Achilles tendon rupture. I've seen Dr. David Chow talk about this. He's Stefan Bell talk about this. All the injury experts I've seen everywhere have all said the same thing. Achilles tendonitis is usually a precursor for a future Achilles injury if you do not take care of it, if you do not do all of what is necessary, right? So for you fantasy football people out there, or you sports betting people, you need to start looking at the 49ers much differently moving forward. Because if they are not going to have Christian McCaffrey moving forward, well, we've already seen who gets the snaps, but teams are going to adjust to that. Look, I understand that in the Shanahan system, it's a plug-and-play system. I completely understand that. I know that that's how it works, okay? I know that historically, Kyle Shanahan and his father, Mike, they are the kind of coaches that could take almost any running back and make them into somebody. Kyle did it with Raheem Mostert. He did it with Matt Breida. He's done it with multiple guys over the years, and he did this past Monday night with Jordan Mason. But just like his father, teams start to adjust and figure it out. And when you look at the 49ers schedule, they can get away with it for one more week. The Vikings have a good, not great defense. So Mason might be a little limited, but he can still be productive against them. Rams, solid defense, not great. You can get away with it. Patriots, they got some interesting personnel, but not a great defense. Cardinals, not a great defense. So if you put McCaffrey on injured reserve, you will be able to get away with it right now. Because the next time you play a good like a really good defense, week 7 and 8, Chiefs, Cowboys. So here's the deal. You put McCaffrey on the injured list. He misses 4 weeks. Then you have a 21-day window, right? That 21-day window where he gets to practice again, gets to work out with the team, and see where he's at. So again, I'm bringing this up because if you are somebody who drafted Christian McCaffrey in your fantasy draft, hopefully you already picked up Jordan Mason as a handcuff, number one. Number two, going to have to get more running backs than even Jordan Mason, because I can't promise you that Jordan Mason is going to be what you saw on Monday night every single night. Because if Brian Flores is as good as we think he is as a defensive coordinator, I'm just saying, something to be careful about. And we know Gerard Mayo, you saw what he did against the Bengals. I don't know if he can do that against the 49ers, but he could at least try to stop Mason. So some NFL news today here on 97.3 ESPN. As I promised, I will get to my college football picks a little bit later in the show. Also, still to come here on 97.3 ESPN. We got the Phillies back in action tonight against the Mets. And as I said, in about 15 minutes from now, Mike Mayock has some interesting points about the Eagles-Falcons matchup that we will get into as well, along with your text at 609-403-0973, your DMs into the 973 ESPN mobile app powered by First Bank of Seattle. Josh Hennig hanging out with you in the Ocean Casino Resort Studios. Fanatics Sportsbook is now open at Ocean Casino Resort at the Gallery Sportsbook. Yes, the Fanatics Gallery Sportsbook. Go to the Gallery, go to Ocean, for the win. For more information, visit theoceanac.com. Gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER. I'm Josh Hennig, hanging out with you on a Football Friday on 97.3 ESPN.
This is South Jersey's official home for Philadelphia Eagles football. The Eagles host the Atlanta Falcons in Week 2 of the 2024 season on Monday Night Football.
They cannot stop Saquon Barkley.
How fun is that?
Listen to all the action with Merrill Reese and Mike Quick with pregame coverage starting at 7 p.m. and kickoff at 8:15. This is the play-by-play home of the Philadelphia Eagles. 97.3 ESPN, South Jersey's Eagles station.
Hey, Birds fans, it's about that time. Football season is back, and Boardwalk Honda is giving you the chance to score big. Stop in and take advantage of game-changing savings all month long. Shop our lineup of new pre-owned and certified pre-owned Hondas. We have something for everyone, and credit problems are no problem with over 25 financial lenders to get you approved and on the road to victory. Visit us in Egg Harbor Township or online at boardwalkhonda.com. And remember, from Maine to Miami, nobody beats a Boardwalk deal.
Hey, I can't wait for golf this weekend, huh, buddy? Time flies. Love you, man. Oh, don't forget your knee brace again. We aren't in college anymore.
Moments together matter, so help protect yourself from RSV. If you're 75 or older or 60 plus with a chronic condition like asthma, COPD, heart disease, or severe diabetes, you're at higher risk of landing in the hospital from RSV, and there are no prescription RSV treatments. Check eligibility and schedule your RSV vaccine at vaxassist.com. Sponsored by Pfizer.
Paul's new drone startup just lost its most genius computer scientist.
We just lost our best genius to some new genius who's got a genius new idea. I'm going to have to find a new genius or two half geniuses and fast.
He needs a computer scientist that can keep his startup from falling down.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. When you sponsor a job on Indeed, it's easier for talented candidates to find it, which makes it easier for you to hire them. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
Wendy's breakfast burrito has an entire breakfast in every bite. Fresh cracked eggs, seasoned potatoes, American cheese, cheese sauce, and sausage or bacon. So the first bite is like fresh cracked American cheese sauce. Bacon. And the second bite is like fresh American cheese sauce. Bacon. And the third bite, you get the idea. The boss of breakfast burritos, gotta be Wendy's.
Participating U.S. Wendy's during breakfast hours.
Meet DJ, the Master Penny Pincher. I'm always looking for ways to lower my electric bill. My new smart meter from Atlantic City Electric makes it a lot easier to save energy and money. I took a few minutes, logged into my account, and unlocked some cool tools like high usage alerts and customized energy saving tips I can see right on my phone. I'd say that's a pretty smart move.
We couldn't agree more, DJ. To unlock all the energy-saving benefits of your new smart meter, sign up for my account at AtlanticCityElectric.com/smartmove.
It's common knowledge that after age 30, our metabolism changes. We have less energy and gain weight easier. There's a way to feel better, not in years or months, but sometimes in just days.
I'm Chuck Norris. I tried everything. Working with a team of health experts, we came up with Morning Kick. Morning Kick is a revolutionary new formula that combines all my favorite supplements into one daily drink.
Morning Kick has probiotics to help you lose weight, prebiotics for digestion, superfoods for muscles and joints, and powerful anti-aging supplements. It'll help you feel youthful, energized, and helps manage stress.
I look and feel better than I have in years.
Go to roundhouseprovisions.com, use code SUPPORT or text SUPPORT to 511-511 and claim 40% off. Roundhouseprovisions.com, code SUPPORT.
Every purchase comes with our 90-day money-back guarantee. You could be feeling these changes within just a couple of days.
Text SUPPORT to 511-511.
These statements have not been evaluated by the FDA. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease. Tax fees may apply.
Doorbuster deals are coming during Pro Savings Days at Lowe's. Starting September 16th, save on a DeWalt 12-volt Max Extreme Drill Driver Combo Kit or a DeWalt 12-volt Max Extreme Impact Driver. Your choice for just $99. Plus, save $80 on a Bosch 18-volt brushless cordless impact driver. Was $179, now just $99. Shop these deals and more before they're gone, because Lowe's knows pros. Valid 9/16 through 9/18. Selection varies by location.
Oh yeah, it's on at Matt Blatt Nissan.
If you're currently stuck in a loan or lease, AJ the Trade Man can get you released. Matt Blatt Nissan.com. It's on at Matt Blatt Nissan on the Black Horse Pike, Egg Harbor Township.
Powered by the all-new BetParks New Jersey Casino and Sportsbook app. BetParks.com. This is the Town Square, New Jersey Info and Weather Network.
Garrett Stubbs caught on video singing a Philly fan favorite. I'm Nick Earnshaw, your South Jersey Sports Center, and your 97.3 ESPN question of the day. Garrett Stubbs was caught singing Dancing on My Own in a bar recently, a clip that went viral, but that got us thinking here at 97.3 ESPN. Should the Phillies bring back Dancing on My Own for the postseason? Let us know by texting 609-403-0973. Yes, I'm saying bring the song back. It defines this era of Phillies baseball. Could it be played out? Maybe, but it's this team's song. You got to keep it in the rotation. I say bring Dancing on My Own back just for the postseason because it brings back all the vibes for this team. All right. Once again, text in at 609-403-0973. Your forecast is next.
No longer qualify for New Jersey Family Care? You may be eligible for quality, affordable health plans through Get Covered New Jersey that cover doctor visits, prescriptions, and more. 9 in 10 enrolling qualify for financial help. Learn more at getcovered.nj.gov.
From the Town Square, New Jersey Info and Weather Network, I'm Chief Meteorologist Dan Zarrow. Beautiful weather carries through the weekend. Pretty much zero chance of rain here. Clear skies tonight, maybe some patchy fog developing by morning. Low temperature dips to 63. Tomorrow, lots of sun, nice and warm, high of 81. Moderate risk of rip currents along the coast, though. Sunday, mostly sunny, high 78. Increasing clouds and 77 on Monday. Get weather 24/7 wherever you are. Download our free mobile app today.
Get ready to laugh like never before. Stand-up comedian and roast master Tony Hinchcliffe is bringing his hilarious act to Ocean Casino Resort on Saturday, March 1st. Get tickets at theoceanac.com.
This is Game Night with Josh Hennig on 97.3 ESPN and the 97.3 ESPN free mobile app.
Before we check back on the text board at 609-403-0973, I see a message from Jeff from Ocean City on there. Also, your DMs. It's the 97.3 ESPN mobile app powered by First Bank. See how Phillies back in action tonight. They take on the New York Mets for a 3-game series. And this series is interesting for a couple reasons. One, because the Phillies are finally getting 2 players back that they have been missing. JT Realmuto and Kyle Schwarber are both back. So huge news for the Phillies to have both of those guys back on the team, back in the lineup. And, Schwarber was on an absolute heater before he strained his elbow, right? So having him obviously is a big part of this lineup. And then JT Realmuto, look, Garcia did an okay job. Him and Stubbs filling in. But JT Realmuto, this guy is a stabilizer for this team, for this pitching staff. He arguably is one of the most important players on this team. So for me, I look at this as a lot of good news for the Phillies when it comes to having both those guys back in the lineup. Lefty tonight, Jose Quintana. So no Marsh, no Stott. Stott isn't in the lineup, but no Brandon Marsh tonight. So they're going with Schwarber, Turner, Harper, Castellanos staying in the 4-hole, Realmuto 5. But Weston Wilson is in left field playing for Marsh. Buddy Kennedy is playing third base, to which I say thank the Lord, because there is nothing more agonizing than watching Weston Wilson attempt to play third base. I mean, the dude has had a mistake or an error in almost every single game he has played at third this year. At least with Buddy Kennedy, I know he'll field the ball. Now, Some people may have questions about Buddy Kennedy's arm strength. I've heard those stories before. I'm not going to deny that might be his arm strength is nowhere going to be Alec Boehm, for example. But I think his arm strength is certainly adequate to play the position. And at the Major League Baseball level, Buddy Kennedy has started 6 games at third base. And guess what? 0 errors. That's all I care about. Listen, as long as he doesn't make an error, doesn't bust a play, if someone beats him out on a run, fine, whatever. Who cares? The guy is a sure-handed third baseman. He's a sure-handed fielder. It's all I can ask for. I just want someone who is not going to be a bumbling, fumbling idiot at that position. And I feel like more often than not, Weston Wilson is that guy. And it's absolutely, utterly exasperating. So, a huge upgrade at third base. Glad to see South Jersey and Buddy Kennedy getting some playing time. Listen, Buddy has done a solid job since he has come up to the Phillies. He has shown you that he is going to give you quality at bats. Now, does that translate into him being a part of this postseason roster? I'm not sure about that part. I would certainly like to see him get the opportunity, just because of the fact that I feel like between him and Weston Wilson, Wilson is the better hitter. Kennedy is the better fielder. If you look at Edmundo Sosa and say, I don't need another better fielder, I already have a hitter, then go Weston Wilson. But remember, Austin Hayes is supposed to come back at some point. At some point, Austin Hayes is supposed to come back from this kidney issue he's dealing with. Hopefully he does come back. And I'm assuming that he would be the guy playing left field along with Brandon Marsh, which makes Weston Wilson less of value, at least to me. So I look at it as Buddy Kennedy, Edmundo Sosa, those should be your 2 right-handed guys coming off this bench. I would take Kennedy over Weston Wilson at this point because, one, he's a more reliable defensive player. And number 2, I think that in the postseason, I value the defense very much. Pitching and defense typically wins you championships. Now, I hear what you guys are going to say. Weston Wilson's bat has been valuable. I totally get it. The guy has 3 home runs in his 30 games played this year. So basically every 10 games he plays, he hits a dinger, right? He's batting .313. So he has shown you the ability to be a productive hitter. And I know that he is great against left-handed pitching as well as Weston Wilson. Weston Wilson is batting .400 against left-handed pitching. But if you end up saying, hey, Austin Hayes is healthy, he's going to play, then to me, Weston Wilson loses a spot on this roster. If Austin Hayes can't come back, then I keep Wilson and Kennedy at this level and Edmundo Sosa because I think all of those guys can have a role. Now, the only way that you have to consider it is, do you say Kennedy is here because of Sosa and then you have to take Kennedy off the roster because of Sosa? That's certainly a possibility as well. But a lot of moving parts for the Phillies to consider. Josh Hennick here on 97.3 ESPN. Phillies and Mets this weekend. Aaron Nola with the 3rd most quality starts in Major League Baseball, in the National League, starting for the Phillies site against Jose Quintana. But the rest of the weekend is where it gets very interesting. Tomorrow is Kobe Allard. Now, Allard has had some good outings. Will that continue? Sunday, lefty and lefty, Christopher Sanchez and David Peterson. Very interesting matchup. So you got 2 lefties this weekend for the Phillies. Does Brandon Marsh not play both of those games? Does Stott play tonight and then not on Sunday? A lot of questions that still need to be answered. But if the Phillies can win another series, remember, Ever since they lost that series in Atlanta, they have won 6 straight series. If they can win this series against the Mets, 2 out of 3, it accomplishes 2 very important goals. One, it cuts down your magic number to 7 to win the division. And number 2, it takes the Mets further out of any chance at creeping up with you on the division. And if you're the Phillies, you're looking at the Mets as really the only legitimate contender to the division at this point. The Braves are fighting for the wild card. They don't really have a chance to get to the division. You walk out of this weekend series at home, defend your home turf, then you go on that road trip, right? That 7-day road trip to Milwaukee and then to Citi Field for the Mets again. So now if you get 2 out of 3 this weekend, you go on this road trip, and even if you win 3 out of 4 games, okay? Well, now if you win 3 out of 4 games, go 3-4 on the road trip, you have a losing record on the road trip. I'm just saying it just to use an example. But you won this past weekend. You won on the road trip. Now you're down to 4 games to win the division. And you got to win 4 out of your final 6 to win the division. So mathematically, you still stay above water. Now, realistically, you want to take out the Mets. You want to go to Milwaukee, take them out, right? That would be the ideal scenario, because then you win 4 of your next 6 games. You knock that magic number almost in half. So definitely something to think about as we get closer and closer to the end of the season for the Phillies, and we'll keep you all updated here on 97.3 ESPN. Josh and Nick hanging out with you here on a Football Friday. Let's get back to the football conversation right now. And again, I'll check back on the text board a little bit later in the hour, 609-403-0973. Your DMs into 97.3 ESPN mobile app powered by First Bank of Seattle. So I was listening to Mike Mayock, who is talking about the Eagles, and I thought he brought up a very, very interesting set of points about the Eagles' Monday night opponent, the Atlanta Falcons. Here was the opening thought of Mike Mayock, former NFL front office executive, longtime NFL analyst covering the NFL and the draft, as well as former college and NFL player, Mike Mayock, Boston College. He said this about the Atlanta Falcons.
I think the Falcons are going to be a little bit desperate. I mean, they just lost a game to the Steelers 18-10. Pittsburgh kicked 6 field goals.
Yeah,
so
crazy.
I mean, how do you want to look at that? On the one hand, Atlanta's defense was pretty stout.
Right.
And they are pretty stout. And they signed 2 veteran NFL guys in the last month that are going to help them. They got one of the best defensive tackles in the league who's coming off an injury, Grady Jarrett. So defensively, I think they're pretty stout.
Very interesting point by him, because coming out of the game versus the Packers, most people looked at that game as, hey, the field conditions were not great. Defensive players were not able to get their normal pivots and normal angles. So maybe the Eagles had some success against that. Maybe that's why motion was so successful. Will the Falcons be more of a challenge to Philadelphia than the Packers? The Falcons run a different defensive scheme than the Packers. So last week, you saw a Packers defense that runs a variation of that 4-3 front, right? The 4 defensive linemen, and then usually you have 2 linebackers and a guy who plays either nickel corner or a third safety position. They run that cover 3 zone scheme where they bring those fire blitzes off of each edge. They're a team that brings blitzes from different angles, from different places, and they are very, very aggressive. Falcons are different. Head coach Raheem Morris, he has basically run 2 defenses over the years. He ran the Tampa 2, which is that 2 high safety type of system that is very dependent on everyone doing their job, following their assignments. And he also ran a variation of the Wade Phillips 3-4 in Los Angeles. And what Morris has done over the years is he has taken the 3-4 concept and meshed it with the Tampa 2. I say meshed it because the original Tampa 2 that Tony Dungy ran was a 4-3 front, not a 3-4 front. But he has taken the concept of the Tampa 2 and merged it with the 3-4. That's how they won a Super Bowl with the Rams. Raheem Morris, defense coordinator. Morris's DC is Jimmy Lake. Jimmy Lake was at Washington for years. And he likes to run a defense that is based on speed and physicality. They like to take their opponents off of their game plan. So this is less about the blitz, and it is more about being disruptive, making people know you are there, having the prerequisite speed and athleticism to chase people down. And you saw that to an extent in the Steelers-Falcons game. I was watching that game very, very closely this past Sunday because I wanted to see what the Falcons looked like. The Falcons defense, as you heard them mention on that bite, the Falcons defense has shown you that they can play at a high level. I know the Steelers are not a great offense. The Eagles are better at every position than the Steelers. Quarterback, running back, wide receivers, tight end, offensive line. But what I think the similarity is that it doesn't change who the Falcons are. When they acquired Matthew Judon, it changed the dynamic of that defense because now you're not 100% dependent on Grady Jarrett. You're not 100% dependent on that guy being the disruptive force for your defense. If you are the Falcons, what you're doing now is you're saying, look, we don't need to bring the blitz to make your life difficult. What they say is, because we run this defense with the 3 down linemen and the 2 outside overhang, it actually, on the 3-4 front, it actually looks sometimes more like a 5-2, where it looks like you have 5 people coming for the quarterback. Well, what does that do when you have those 5? That means that you are telling the other team, you got 5 offensive linemen, I got 5 defensive blitzers. So now, if you're an offense, you can't use your interior linemen to help with a double team for the outside tackle. Now you're asking the tight end or the running back to help in these situations. And we already know that Cam Jurgens had some issues last week. Now he is going to have David Onyemata. You ask, who is he? I'll tell you who he is. He's a 6'4", 300+ pound monster. And now you're asking Jurgens to stare him right in the face and say, good luck, we're all counting on you. I already mentioned Grady Jarrett. You're now asking Becton or Dickerson to shut him down. So even if you stop those guys, now you got Judon on the outside, along with Lorenzo Carter. Carter and Judon versus Lane Johnson and Jordan Mailata. Can those guys stop that pressure? And then on the back end, don't forget A.J. Terrell, Jesse Bates, Mike Hughes. These 3 guys, I didn't mention Justin Simmons for a reason. I'll tell you why in a minute. But those 3 guys are all ball hawks. Those are 3 guys who are very good at getting interceptions. You saw Jalen Hurts threw 2 interceptions last week. And they were both passes to the middle of the field where he was trying to split the seam down the middle. The Eagles cannot be the team that says we can't throw down the middle because we're afraid of being intercepted. You got to find a way to get completions across the middle to make the defense feel like they cannot be as aggressive. Now, you heard Mike Mayock explain that the Falcons are going to be a desperate team Monday night. Here is more from Mike Mayock on the Believe in Eagles podcast.
I think you're going to get the best effort you can get from Atlanta because they lost the game against Pittsburgh. They're at Philly on a Monday night, and then on a short week, they got to play Kansas City. If they don't win Monday night, there's a good chance they start 0-3, and 0-3 kind of dooms you to any playoff conversation.
That is another part of this thing. You have a situation where if you are the Falcons, you do not want to start the year 0-3. If you start the year 0-3, you are in massive trouble. because now your hopes to win the division have basically almost gone up in smoke. And so what happens is that you now have a team that comes to Philadelphia trying to win very desperately. Well, let me ask you guys a question. When are people the most dangerous? When their backs are up against the wall. The Atlanta Falcons had the proverbial back up against the wall. They got a head coach who has won a championship at the NFL level, Raheem Morris. They have a defensive coordinator in Jimmy Lake who had a ton of success at the college level. They have a quarterback in Kirk Cousins who just last year threw 3 touchdowns against you in the second half of that game when he was on the Vikings. And you have a team with a talented running back in Bijan Robinson. Don't take the Falcons for granted. Do not be the person who says, oh yeah, we got this automatically, because they may come in and they may be more willing to throw those haymakers. You know, you have the UFC fights this weekend, and I'm telling you guys, I have seen this way too many times in the world of sports. Sometimes the person who wants it more wins. The reason why Alexa Grasso is defending the belt against a woman who was at one time considered one of the best on the planet, Valentina Shevchenko, the reason why they're rematching this fight is because they know that the reason why Grasso won that first fight is because she wanted it more. And I think that is a huge part of this conversation when it comes to football as well. Sometimes the more desperate team is a team that wants it more. And with everything that's going on, Monday Night Football there with Jason Kelsey honoring Nick Foles at halftime, the crowd is going to be nuts. People are going to be drinking from 1 o'clock in the afternoon all the way up to 8 o'clock for kickoff. That crowd is going to be bonkers. You can't afford to have an adrenaline dump and lose your edge if you're the Eagles, and let the Falcons be the more desperate team. But there is a weakness on the Atlanta Falcons that Mike Mayock says on the Believe in Eagles podcast that the Eagles take advantage of.
And the left side of the O-line is good. Where the Eagles have to kind of take advantage is Caleb McGarry, the right tackle, struggles in pass protection.
Okay.
So guys like Nolan Smith and Huff probably need to step up and be a little bit more apparent this weekend than they were last weekend.
And exploit that.
Yeah.
So think about that. Caleb McGarry has been on the injury report this week for Atlanta. So we already know McGarry's banged up. He is not 100%. So now you're talking about a guy who is going to be on an island. Your working theory, again, it's a working theory, is that guys like Bryce Huff, Josh Sweat, these guys will be better on better footing, as Chris Long on the Green Light podcast said a couple days ago about Bryce Huff and the Eagles pass rush.
I don't think that grass was fair to rushers. I'm not going to give them excuses, but I don't think either side show what they really could do because of that grass. And I don't think Bryce Huff is the type of guy that's going to be out there on turf. He's a guy he's got a lot of torque, a lot of power. He's got to dig those cleats in the ground. So I'm not making excuses, but I think you're going to be happy with the pass rush.
You know, when I gave you my keys to the game on Monday night before Mel Reese and Mike Quick call all the action here in your home for Eagles football in South Jersey, 97.3 ESPN. When I gave you my keys, I'm already giving you a tip. Bryce Huff and the Eagles pass rush against the Falcons offensive line. If they win, they get some wins on Monday night, I think it's more than fair to say that you are going to win that game. Josh Hennick here on 97.3 ESPN FM, 97.3 ESPN. Mobile app powered by First Bank of Seattle. Live in the Ocean Casino and Resort Studios. Ocean Casino and Resort with the Fanatics Sportsbook at the Gallery Bar booking games. Go to the Gallery. Go to Ocean. Go for the win. For more, visit theoceanac.com. We will get you my picks for the weekend, as well as check on the text board. Jeff from Ocean City and more at 403-0973 and your DMs into 973 ESPN mobile app powered by First Bank of Sea Isle City.
Tomorrow on Compass Media Network's coverage of NCAA football, Camp Randall Stadium will be jumping as the 4th-ranked Alabama Crimson Tide visit the Wisconsin Badgers. Jalen Milroe looks to kickstart a Heisman campaign and lead the New Look Tide to a tough road victory. But Luke Fickell and the Badgers have an upset on their mind. It's number 4 Alabama taking on Wisconsin. If it's NCAA football, it's right here.
It's College Football Saturday on 97.3 ESPN. Coverage begins at noon.
Trust Jenkins Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning, where one call does it all for leaks, stoppages, and renovations. For 75 years, Jenkins trained technicians have been providing reputable service to local homeowners. Renovating your kitchen or bath? Call Jenkins for new heating and air installation, service and maintenance, ductless air conditioning systems, water heaters, boilers, oil service, plumbing and drain cleaning services, water line or sewer main repairs and replacements. Call 609-641-6262 or visit jenkinsandsons.com.
Wake up. Breakfast. And Nature Made vitamins. Whatever your morning sounds like, Nature Made fits right in. Whether you're looking for vitamin C or a multivitamin to get key nutrients, we've got you covered. Now that's a good morning. We take care of you so you can take on your day. Start your day with Nature Made, the #1 pharmacist recommended vitamin and supplement brand. Based on a survey of pharmacists who recommend branded vitamins and supplements.
Your luxury BMW experience is closer than you think. Take advantage of exceptional savings at BMW of Atlantic City. Stop in and shop your favorite models, including the new BMW 2 Series, X3, and more. We're sure to have a vehicle that fits your needs. And with Acceleride, purchase your vehicle online and we'll deliver it directly to you. Looking to trade? We'll pay top dollar for your current vehicle. Experience luxury today at BMW of Atlantic City, closer than you think. In Egg Harbor Township, shop our complete inventory online at bmwatlanticcity.com.
Mom, meet Sarah.
From first-time Nana moments.
Yeah, welcome to Flight 101.
To annual girls trip moments. Your can't-miss moments are worth protecting against RSV. If you're 75 or older or 60 plus with a chronic condition like asthma, COPD, heart disease, or severe diabetes, you're at higher risk of landing in the hospital from RSV. And there are no prescription RSV treatments. Check eligibility and schedule your RSV vaccine at vaxassist.com.
So where should we go next?
Sponsored by Pfizer.
Hi, honey. Happy first day back at work. Can't wait to see you tonight. We are so proud of you. Daddy, love you.
There are many reasons to start recovery. If you or someone you love is struggling with addiction, we are here to help. Call us. Our trained counselors are available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week to help. Your recovery is within reach. Call 844-REACH-NJ to learn about medication that can support your recovery. A message from the New Jersey Department of Human Services.
Good morning, Doctor.
Doctor?
Hi, Doctor.
Doctor?
Dr. Jackson's practice is growing.
What do you mean we're still short-staffed?
He needs a good patient doctor.
How do we not have enough doctors to doctor all these patients?
And he doesn't have the patience to sift through hundreds of resumes.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. When you sponsor a job on Indeed, it's easier for talented candidates to find it, which makes it easier for you to hire them. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
The $5 menu is back at Yuri's Waterfront Restaurant. Watch the game at Yuri's and enjoy food and drink specials with the happy hour menu and the famous $5 menu at the bar. Phillies, Eagles, Thursday, Sunday, and Monday night football games, college football, and the NFL Sunday ticket. If you love seafood, Yuri's has it, including all-you-can-eat crabs. And at Yuri's, the beautiful sunsets are still free. Yuri's Waterfront Restaurant, next to the boathouse at the foot of the bridge in Wildwood.
Shop the Sherwin-Williams 4-day super sale and get 40% off paints and stains from September 13th through the 16th. With prices starting at $29.39, it's the perfect time to transform your space with color. Whether you're looking to revamp your bedroom, living room, or home office, we have you covered with bold hues, soothing neutrals, and everything in between. Shop the sale online or visit your neighborhood Sherwin-Williams store. Retail sales only. Some exclusions apply. See store for details.
Oh yeah, it's on at Matt Black Nissan.
New 2024 Nissan Rogue S, 0 down and 2.9% financing for 60 months. But when they're gone, they're gone. Have a trade? Bring it to AJ the Trade Man. He's paying cash, lots of cash, up to 120% more cash than KBB fair market value. Then drive home in your new 2025 matte black Nissan Kicks. Just $299 per month lease with 0 security deposits. And every new matte black Nissan comes with our 4-day love it or leave it return policy. Have a job clearing $450 per week at Matt Blatt Nissan? You're virtually approved today with 0 down and low 2.9% financing. MattBlattNissan.com. Approved Tier 1 credit for new Matt. Negative equity will be refinanced into new vehicle plus tax tag at $589 doc fee. Offers can't be combined. Call 877-289-6670 or go to MattBlattNissan.com for complete details. 24 months, 10,000 miles, $27.99 due through NEMAC. VIN RC 738396. MSRP 31,115. Offer ends 9/30/2024. It's on at Matt Blatt Nissan on the Black Horse Pike, Egg Harbor Township.
Oh no, stomach issues again?
Stomach issues?
Who are you?
Your pancreas. I could be the real reason for your diarrhea, gas, bloating, stomach pain, or loose oily stools.
I thought it was my stomach.
People often do, but any of these symptoms could mean having a condition called exocrine pancreatic insufficiency, or EPI. With EPI, the pancreas doesn't release enough enzymes to break down food, but EPI is manageable. Use the symptom checker on identifyepi.com and speak with your doctor. That's identifyepi.com. Sponsored by AbbVie.
Get ready to laugh like never before. Stand-up comedian and roast master Tony Hinchcliffe is bringing his hilarious act to Ocean Casino Resort in Atlantic City on Saturday, March 1st. Based out of Los Angeles, Tony is the host of the #1 live podcast, Kill Tony, with hundreds of thousands tuning in every week. Tickets on sale now at theoceanac.com. Tony Hinchcliffe, live at Ocean Casino Resort on Saturday, March 1st. Must be 21 or older. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Now, more Game Night with Josh Hennig on 97.3 ESPN and on the 97.3 ESPN free mobile app, powered by First Bank of Sea Isle City.
Over on the text board, Jeff from Ocean City says, hey, Josh, do you have any college plays for the weekend? I'm just asking because you didn't do so well with the NFL picks last night. Thanks for the reminder, Jeff in Ocean City. Yeah, we went 1-3 last night. It was actually I went back through my records. So I made a total last night. If I go back on the show, I made a total of 5 picks last night, and I went 1-4 in all my picks. It is actually the worst one day of picks I have had since 2021. So I have been humbled. I have gone back to the drawing board, and I am hoping to give you guys something better this time round. Okay? So here we go. College football tomorrow. We are 25-11 on the year in that category, so we want to keep it rolling here. Big matchups this weekend that are very interesting to me. First of all, LSU travels to South Carolina. South Carolina last week completely destroyed Kentucky on the road. South Carolina's defense is very good. LSU's offense is inconsistent. So give me the under 27.5 points for LSU. That hook is very important because that may be the reason why you win this bet. Look, I don't know if LSU wins this game or not. They probably will. But I tend to think it's going to be more like a 24-17 kind of game than it is going to be like a 30-20 kind of game. So under 27.5 for LSU on the road against a very good South Carolina defense. Boston College on the road at Missouri. Missouri's offense is legit, folks. Give me the over team total 34.5. Boston College on the road at Missouri. Their defense doesn't stand a chance. Oregon on the road travels to Oregon State. This is one of the biggest rivalries of all of college football. Oregon State is a plus 16.5 underdog. I don't understand why. Oregon struggled the first week of the year against Idaho. For those who don't know, Idaho, not a great college football program. This is a huge rivalry game. Rivalry games are typically always closer than people expect. So I like Oregon State at home to cover the 16.5. Notre Dame, coming off of the upset of the year, travels to Purdue. Notre Dame and Purdue, 2 programs with not great offenses, but solid defenses. Give me the under 47.5 total points between the two. Indiana travels on the road the UCLA. UCLA, they had a bye week last week. I'm still confused why they didn't play last week. What a weird scheduling situation. So they are coming off of an opportunity to play an extra for Indiana, and they're a dog. No. Give me the plus 3.5 for the UCLA Bruins at home against a mediocre at best Indiana Hoosiers football team. Kellen DeBoer, Alabama's head football coach. He is 1-4 on the road when his teams are double-digit favorites. You will hear the game tomorrow on 97.3 ESPN when Alabama travels to Wisconsin. Wisconsin plus 16.5. I don't like this matchup for Alabama to get a big win. I think Alabama can win by 10 to 14 points, but I just feel like 16.5 is way too much. I think that 1-4 Kellen DeBoer record will be extended to 1-5 against the spread when his team is a double-digit favorite. Colorado State. You guys know I watched this Colorado team very, very closely the last couple of years. I didn't like what I saw against Nebraska. Colorado this year travels to Colorado State. This is another huge rivalry. Always take the spreads in these rivalry games. Colorado, they got some offensive skill, but they don't have the trenches locked down. And Colorado State is going to want to make this an ugly game. Give me Colorado State at home to cover the 7.5 points against Deion Sanders' Colorado team. Couple more to get to really quick. Georgia, give me the team total over 33.5 at Kentucky. Kentucky's just bad this year. They're obviously in a year of transition. Finally, BYU. I don't know why Wyoming's even being given 10 points in this game. Wyoming is 0-2. They are not a good football team. They are trash this year. Give me BYU on the road against them. Finally, the NFL picks. And you might be like, Josh, you haven't played the sounder yet.
Stone Cold Lock of the Century.
I didn't play the sounder yet because my pick of the weekend is in the NFL. Saints at Cowboys. The Saints scoring all those points against a very poor Carolina Panthers team. The Cowboys are returning home for being on the road last week. They are a 6-point favorite. Cowboys are going to win, in my opinion, by 10 or more points. They're going to make the Saints look bad, and that's why that is my
Stone Cold Lock of the Century.
I also love the Chargers -5 on the road at Carolina. Carolina is not good. Bucks at Lions over 51.5 points, and Titans versus Jets under 41.5 points. I'm Josh Hennig. Have a great weekend, everybody.
Saturday morning in the locker room with Billy Schwein, producer Nick Earnshaw, and former Kansas City Chiefs wide receiver Dave Klemick join me in the studio. We will preview the Eagles' Monday night matchup against the Falcons. Then we will go on the mound with former Phillies pitcher Tommy Green, brought to you by Blitz's Market Devotions.
All right, folks, if you're still watching on the YouTube channel, thank you for watching. Hit the like button, share it with your friends. Tell me what you like and dislike about the show each and every day here on 97.3 ESPN. I actually have a full sheet here. I didn't get to all the NFL picks, so let's review them really quick. Like I was focusing more on the college football because the games are tomorrow. So I mentioned I really like the Cowboys at home against Saints. I think the Saints are fugazi. I don't think they're a great team. I think that Dennis Allen is going to lose his job at the end of the year. I think that franchise is a rudderless franchise without direction. And the Cowboys right now, they are rocking and rolling. I like what Dak showed last week against what should have been a good Panthers team. Sorry, a good Browns team. That Browns defense is very good. The Cowboys sliced and diced them like they were nothing. I think the Cowboys offense is legit. So that's why I like the Cowboys to score. If it's a 6-point spread, the Cowboys can win by 7 and you cover this. But I think they'll win by double digits in this game. And it's even with the Chargers on the flip side. I think the Panthers are the second worst team in the NFL. I really do. I think that they are really bad roster construction. That organization is in a hard rebuild right now. So to me, I like the Chargers with Jim Harbaugh going on the road and just being the more physical team, Give me the Chargers to cover the 7. Again, if they win by a touchdown or more, it covers that as well. Bucks Lions, they played last year to a very close back and forth game in Detroit. It's back in Detroit again. Dome, no weather to bother the game. I think Mayfield and Goff have a bit of a shootout in this game. That's why I like the over 41.5. And the opposite I like about the Jets and the Titans. Both the Jets and the Titans are teams that I'm watching very closely this weekend. These are two teams that they could have won in week 1. And they both dropped it. They dropped opportunities left and right, literally and figuratively. I think these two teams bounce back defensively. You saw the Titans. If their offense did a better job in Chicago, they would have won that game against the Bears. And the Jets defense, I think we all can agree the Jets defense it's a much better unit than people realize. I think the 49ers are just a great team. They took advantage of them. So I like the under 41.5 points. I see this as 2 reasons. 1, because I mentioned the defenses are both good. Number 2, I always tell you guys to watch the numbers. The odds makers have the team totals for the Jets and the Titans adding up, not the 41.5 points. They have it adding up to 39. So the odds makers, the bookmakers, are trying to manipulate you. They're trying to trick you into thinking, oh man, how could the Jets and the Titans only score 41.5 points? They got to score more, right? But what they're really secretly telling you is we don't expect them to score a lot of points in this game. So give me the under in the Jets and the Titans for a variety of reasons. Now, the 2 picks that did not get on the 97.3 ESPN on the radio. Rams at Cardinals over 47.5. You saw the Rams and the Cardinals both get scored on last week significantly. And I think that they will continue to score again. I don't think the Cardinals defense is that great. You saw them get taken advantage of multiple times by the Buffalo Bills last week. And then on the flip side, I got to be honest with you guys. When I look at the Rams defense, I thought they played better than I expected against the Lions, but I'm still not loving it, right? And Marvin Harrison Jr. basically had no role in the game last week. I got to think the Cardinals find a way to get him more involved this week. And for a Rams team and a Cardinals team that does not have great talent on the defensive side of the ball right now, this might be a game where you have a team like the Rams or the Cardinals walk away by winning at 35 or 36 points. And if the other team just scores 24, well, bang, you hit the number there. Finally, Bears at Texans. I think the Bears are more of a concern than I thought they were. Their offense could do nothing last week. Caleb Williams looked like he was lost. The Texans defense is better than the Titans defense. Straight up, across the board. The defensive line is better. The linebackers are better. Every part of that defense is better. There is no scenario where I am going to believe in the Bears to cover a 6.5 point spread on the road at Houston in prime time against the Texans team that is on a mission to prove that last year was not a fluke. So give me Texans minus 6.5 at home against the Bears on Sunday Night Football. Finally, anytime touchdowns for those of you who like to play around with that or maybe use that as a lean when it comes to fantasy football. From the games I previously mentioned, I do like CeeDee Lamb. Anytime touchdown. Jake Ferguson is dealing with an injury right now at tight end, so he will not be stealing targets away from the wide receivers in this game. So give me CeeDee Lamb anytime touchdown. I also like in the Bucks at Lions, Mike Evans anytime touchdown. That guy seems to score touchdown almost every single week in the NFL. I think the Lions secondary has shown you that they are a little vulnerable. Okay. Terry and Arnold did not play as well as Quinyon Mitchell in week 1. And I think that if you get a situation where Mike Evans and Terry Arnold go eye to eye, Mike Evans is going to eat him alive. And my third anytime touchdown that I like on Sunday's slate of games in the NFL, I know this sounds crazy. I think the Texans are going to get a big game out of Joe Mixon. I think Joe Mixon's going to score some touchdowns, whether receiving or running. I think Joe Mixon, anytime touchdown, is a great play for NFL Sunday. Finally, on the picks, UFC tomorrow night at the Sphere. Huge, huge card in the UFC. 2 title fights on the card. My 2 picks for this night. Number 1, I really like Brian Ortega at plus 160. I still think Ortega has something left in the tank. I don't think Diego Lopez is this invincible fighter. Some people act like he is one of the best fighters on the planet. I don't think he is. I think Lopes is a good fighter. I don't think he's a great fighter. So I like Brian Ortega plus 160 in that matchup. When it comes to the main events, I am telling people to stay away from the Grasso-Shevchenko fight because I think that fight is going to depend on which woman shows up the most serious about this fight. The reason why Alexa won the last matchup between her and Shevchenko was because she wanted it more. She was more desperate. She was the one who wanted to make a point. She wanted to prove something. If Valentina, that we have seen in the past, shows up in this fight, Alexa has no chance. But if Valentina has lost a step, if she has legitimately taken a step down, you don't want to bet against Grasso. Grasso is in her prime right now. She is fighting the best I've ever seen her in all of her MMA career. In the main event, I do like this a specific wager under 4.5 rounds. Look, Davishvili and O'Malley, these guys like to hit. These guys are hard hitters. They like to throw. They like to throw leather. I know O'Malley is a guy who's gone distance more often than people have liked in the past. I think this fight is not going to go the distance. Give me the under 4.5. I don't understand why it's a plus 105 odds. I feel like the odds makers are really leaning into O'Malley's recent history and not as much into his overall fight pedigree. Look, I understand that for the casual observer, you look at O'Malley and you say, wow, this guy has gone to decision 2 of his last 3 fights. You forget, though, that before his last 3 fights, he was on a string of just knockout after knockout. He even lost by a TKO in a matchup against Marlon Vera. This is a guy who he is exciting to watch. He's fun to watch. He is someone that you have to be careful about. And by the way, he would have beaten Pedro Munoz wasn't for the no contest with the accidental eye poke, right? But he has a history. He likes to throw leather. He takes caution and throws it to the wind. He goes all in. And I think that now he's going to fight a guy who is not himself afraid of O'Malley. Davishvili might be the first fighter that O'Malley is facing that just doesn't care. He doesn't care who O'Malley is. He doesn't care about his hair. Doesn't care about his Twitch streaming. He doesn't care about any of that stuff. I think that he looks at him and says, you're next on the list. Merab Davishvili has not lost a fight since April of 2018. And you look at his history, and as I said, there are a lot of decisions on that list. I understand that. But he also has some knockouts. Marlon Moraes, to be specific. And what does Marlon Moraes have in common with Sean O'Malley? He's a fighter who likes to throw hands. Majority of Merab Davishvili's most recent matchups have been against guys who are much more cautious and much more calculated than O'Malley is. O'Malley is an attacker, and Davishvili is a guy who is a great counter striker. That's why the Cejudo fight went the distance. That's why the Peter Yan fight went the distance. Jose Aldo, no longer the fighter he used to be. He was overly cautious in that fight, and that's what lost him the fight. And Davishvili, he is now going into his second fight of 5 rounds. The first time he did was the first time he had ever fought in a 5-round scheduled fight. He's going to be more prepared physically and mentally for a 5-round fight this time. So those are the reasons why I like the under 4.5 in the rounds. So those are all of my picks for the weekend and my thoughts on everything going on in the sports world this weekend. Phillies still nothing. I was kind of hoping the Phillies might have scored by now, but I digress. Thank you for watching on my YouTube channel at Josh Hennig. Like, subscribe, share with your friends. Leave a comment if you have any thoughts on the broadcast tonight. Have a great weekend, everyone. I'll catch you next time right here on my YouTube channel at Josh Hennig on Twitter X platform, at Joshua S. Hennig on Instagram, and of course, every Monday through Friday at 6 p.m. on 97.3 ESPN FM.